I'll call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Donna, will you please take roll call?
Jamie?
Present.
Clark?
Here.
John?
Here.
Jason?
Here?
Alicia?
Here.
And Donna, I'm here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Approve the agenda. Motion. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
A motion by Clark, second by John, to approve the agenda. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
With the addendum though, right?
With the addendum, yes.
Okay.
Everybody have the addendum, item M and N? Thank you. Thanks, Clark. Announcements. The next regular school board meeting will be on Monday, December 12th, 2012 at 5 p.m. in the Glencoe-Silver Lake High School Community Room 443-444 with a recess at 6 p.m. for the Truth and Taxation hearing, and we'll reconvene the meeting after the hearing is done. Acknowledgements. Do we have any acknowledgements?
I would like to say thank you to all the people that were involved in our Veterans Day programs this last Friday. We had programs at both elementary schools and then one here at the high school, and they were all just very well done. So thank you to that, and thank you to all of our veterans who have served.
Thank you. Any other acknowledgements?
I'd like to acknowledge the work that the fall musical individuals did, the staff and the students. It was phenomenal.
Thank you, Jamie. All right, moving on to reports and presentations. 4.0 is here. I believe Bob Becker, Bill Drummer, and Tina. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Becker with 4.0 School Services. I got Tina Tubert, our on-site manager here for the school district here, and then Bill Drummer, just coming up to do a little presentation on how busing is going this year. And as a whole, we got lots and lots and lots of fun things going on. Well, big deals to us and big deals for the school. We're actually moving out to a new building here this spring. So we're hoping to shoot for the end of March probably to have everything out of the current location and out over behind the hospital there. That's our goal, end of March. So then we'll stick to that. We just got to get through inspections in February, and then right after that we're going to start transitioning everything out there. Tina's excited. Yes. So, but other than that, we added in the last year, we've added 4 brand new minibuses to the fleet here and 16 77 passenger Bluebird buses for a total of 20 brand new buses that are all 2023s. That's a huge investment from our standpoint and a big investment to the district. They're all gasoline engines. And with that, you know, hopefully we'll see some savings to the district on the fuel side with gas about $1.60 to $1.75 a gallon cheaper. The mileage really isn't that much different. It might be a little bit less with the gas, but the $1.60 adds up in a hurry on that. So another fun thing that's happening, we actually got approved for stop arm camera grants for all of our buses for the district here. So that with that, you got 2 stop arm cameras, one facing forward and one facing back when the stop arm comes out, and then also the hard drives for the buses themselves. So with that, those cameras and those hard drives probably run around $2,000 a piece, but they'll be in every single bus that we have that's out running every day. And then we currently have 6 buses with interior cameras, and then with that grant, we're actually going to add interior cameras to the rest of those route buses also. So with that, every single school bus here, hopefully by the end of the year, once that grant money comes through, we'll have interior cameras and stop arm cameras. So anybody have any questions about anything busing wise for us while we're here?
Bob, is that grant something you applied for, or where does that come from, the funding source?
Yeah, so the funding actually comes from the Department of Transportation. Yes, we applied for that. We had to apply in like 3 different phases. There's 5 phases total that they're doling out money for. Glencoe is part of phase 3. Phase 2 we found out in July that we got accepted for, and the funding still hasn't come through with that as of now. But they also went through a new director with that, the grant director, so we're thinking hopefully by the first of the year, a little bit after that will fund to us. So.
And just so that you guys remember as well, these guys also do our grounds. So 4.0 is also in charge of the striping of the field and the mowing and the landscaping and those types of things. So they are a valuable partner in our school district, not only from our transportation world, but also from our grounds world. They do a lot more than just mow and go, and they've done a great job, and it's been a great partnership. So.
Yep, thank you. And that's kind of one of our beliefs also is anytime that we can be just a valued business partner is just an addition for both sides. And I think when the times are tough, we've always been there and, to help out with whatever we can. And I just want to thank you guys for everything here. It's been a good run here for the last we're looking at almost 20 years, pretty quick here.
Pretty quick.
So
Yep.
that's a big deal. That's a long time.
Bob, I had a question. You said you're switching over mainly to the gasoline buses. You've been
Yep.
buying them. Now, with the diesel buses, do they last longer, or the bodies wear out before you get that far? As far as
Yep, typical Minnesota stuff.
Okay.
We're going to get 15 to 17 years out of a bus regardless.
Okay.
Even on the diesel side, the stopping and the going with the emission standards just plugs everything up. But what we've noticed even over the years, you probably get 225,000 miles out of a diesel engine as a whole, just from the stopping and the going. And from what we know and what we've been told is that's about what the gas engine should last, about that same amount.
Okay.
But you're looking at a replacement cost of $7,000 an engine instead of $26,000. So, yeah.
you better all the way around for you guys and for
from
gasoline.
everybody's standpoint, absolutely. And we've had phenomenal luck with the ones that we've had. I mean, we as a company as a whole have actually transferred over about 200 buses and gotten rid of our diesels.
Okay.
And the only thing we get out of our mechanics is, could you get me some more? Tina's already asked me for 3 more.
The diesels can go. I like the gas buses.
And with Minnesota weather, I suppose they probably start better than
They
the
start
diesels.
way better.
Sure.
They don't have to be plugged in like the diesels, and they
Yep.
won't gel up, and
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else or any other questions for 4.0? Thank you for coming.
Yep, thanks again for everything.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
So FFA is not here, so at this time, any public input relating to the agenda? Second call for any public input relating to the agenda. And third call. Hearing none. Administrator and committee reports. Business manager report.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I finished the budget book. I sent that all out to you, and it's also posted on the website. So again, if you have any questions on that, please feel free to get a hold of me. And as we have changes throughout the year, I'll make those revisions and update that. That's on the website. So anything that you have, just let me know. Also working on the revised budget. Donna and I have been going through, all the areas of our budget right now. We have finished pretty much going through the salary revisions, benefit revisions. Salaries are down a little bit than what we projected, which is okay, but it also pertains to the shortages of staff positions that aren't filled. So we'll adjust that as, when staff positions get filled or not. The other parts of the budget that have increased is utilities and fuel costs. So I'm adjusting that based on last year's actual cost and kind of what the situation is right now regarding those areas. So we'll see what those utilities end up being. So that's kind of the bigger changes on the expenditure side. Revenue side, I've adjusted for the drop in enrollment, so we've got that factored in there now, but once your enrollment drops, you get a little bit extra in declining enrollment aid, so we've got that in there as well. So still hanging right around that 20%, but it is kind of right on the verge of dropping to 19%. So we'll keep watching that and working on that as we go. So with that in place, and now that we have our levy numbers that we'll talk more on next month, then we'll work heavily more into next year's budget so we can start working on kind of our strategic plan going forward. Got our first billing and credits from our solar garden. Those finally, they went on board September 1st, so now those the billings actually came through with that. So our first month, we had a credit savings of $271.65. So I thought that was a good start. So, we pay USS Solar, and then those credits come off of the Xcel Energy bill. So I think quite real close to where they were expecting us to be, somewhere in that $35,000 to $44,000 a year that we'll save. So based on this almost $300, we'll be right in there. So that was kind of nice to see that finally happening. And then the greenhouse, the bids were due on November 3rd. We got one bid, which was kind of what I was anticipating on that, and that is the company that we've been working with, AJ Lauer. So we're kind of, fine-tuning some of that a little bit. Brady and I have also met with an engineer now that we can get a little plan drawn up to show what we need as far as excavations and footings, so then we can bid those other pieces out or at least get some quotes. We shouldn't have to do an official bid, but quotes as far as the electrical, the excavation, footings, and the plumbing. So once we have that all kind of put together, we'll bring that back to you and let you know where we're on that. And then we will also get an update where we're at on the revenue side of things. So we're still working on pulling everything together for that project. At this time, because we're already into November, talking with the company that bid it, if we book it soon or sign that agreement, the soonest they can start building is next August. They are that busy. They're booked out that far ahead. So we're looking at now late summer at least. So, which would still be okay. The students will be able to start using it into the school year. But it's a little hard for teachers to start planning lesson plans and class offerings, not knowing for sure when it's going to be done. But we'll keep working through those things. So that's all I have. Any questions that you have?
Michelle, did they give a timeline as far as construction? And you mentioned the beginning time, but what is the amount of time it takes to build a greenhouse like we're looking at?
A couple weeks maybe. They put them up pretty fast. So I think if we can have our footings and excavation, everything done, ready to go, next summer, and then they'd be able to come in and start putting up the trusses and everything right away. So they say usually, weather permitting, they have that up in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sander. Right now, we'll move on to principal's reports. Principal Freyda.
Good evening. You have my report in front of you. I have some additions that I just wanted to focus on here. So starting with teaching and learning, under instructional leadership team, Lincoln Learners and Panthers After School has been going on. We started Panthers After School at the end of October, actually right after conferences, and it's been very successful. We actually have a couple of teachers in the crowd. Students are really enjoying it. We do it every rotation where we focus on academics for 2 weeks, and then we do some sort of enrichment for 1 week, and then go back to academic focus, and then go back to the enrichment. Attendance has been great. Parents are loving it. Then if we go down a little bit to the PLC, I spoke about this actually last month when we talked about the EIR grant that Carrie Glazer is working on with our teachers as well as with SWWC. They get to spend some time with her every month, actually working on their PLC goals and focusing on kind of redoing their interests and their goals as a PLC team. The feedback that we've had from the teachers and the staff has been extremely positive on the things that they're working as a team. They're refocusing, like I said, their growth and what they're working on. And then something that I was excited to hear with our 4.0 people here is that we've been doing monthly bus driver meetings with our transfer bus drivers at Lakeside. I get the the luxury of having all of the bus drivers, since they've been parking at Lakeside, to kind of cut the cost on gas. They park the buses on the north side of Lakeside. And so they come in every day at the beginning of the day to drop their keys off, so we get to visit with them. And then at the end of the day, they come and pick their keys up to pick them up, obviously, to go. And so one of the things that Mr. Sanju and the admin team visited about at the end of the last year was how could we get them together. And so once a month, all of the bus drivers come in and we meet in the staff lounge at Lakeside and have a nice visit, just about what they're seeing. They get to share all kinds of observations. We get to ask questions of each other and brainstorm different things. And it's a very productive meeting, actually. And I think it's created quite great communication, actually. Mr. Sanju joined us for the November meeting. If any of you want to come for the December one, we'd love to have you. There's been a request for steak and eggs. So if any of you want to bring that, that'd be great. But it's fun to listen to them. One of them, Daryl, was my bus driver as a very young child too. So it's kind of fun to listen to the stories. And similar issues just have evolved a little bit. But I think that communication has helped. The other thing that has really helped cut down on some of the behaviors is the bus riders that we have. We have 4 paraprofessionals that get on in the morning at Lincoln. They clock in at Lincoln, and then they ride the bus to Lakeside, and then they ride the bus back at the end of the day. That has cut down on quite a few behaviors and helped to create more of a positive relationship on the bus. And it has really helped in the office, and I think along with the teachers as well. I think the positivity doesn't eliminate all of them by any means, but it certainly has helped. And then on the back, again, I just want to reiterate what Mr. Sanju had said about the Veterans Day program. It was outstanding to have all of the guests that we had at Lakeside. I didn't obviously get to go to the other programs. I heard they were just as outstanding. It's so powerful, though, to have the community in our building when they get to celebrate such a great thing. And our band and our choir were phenomenal. And then our the artwork that the students had done to showcase themselves was really cool too. And I know that there's some videotaping. Mr. Pika had set something up with Terry's help, and so hopefully we're going to get that on the YouTube channel for school so you can see it if you weren't able to make it. And then also in October, we were able to meet with our parent advisory group for the elementary families, and I had about 20 parents show up, great conversations about different things that they're noticing, things that we're seeing. It was a dialogue that will definitely carry on throughout the year. We have another meeting that we have planned in either January or February. Hope to include more families as they come in. But very positive feedback on both ends. And everybody left just feeling kind of rejuvenated. It was very powerful to be heard. Any questions for me?
Julie, I apologize if I missed it. The Lincoln Learners, are those taking place right now, or is it the January 10th through the February 22nd is the beginning of it?
Ms. Farrell, can I actually ask you that question? Or is Lincoln Learners going on right now? Mrs. Keister is leading it, I believe.
Right now, and then January will be the next session, which will be our second graders will be offered it.
Okay. So right now it's kindergarten and first grade?
Just first grade right now.
Okay.
Then it goes to second, and in the spring we do kindergarten.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. And then, Joy, I think you mentioned it's not only remedial, but it's also enrichment too.
Correct.
And how does it take place? Is there an invitation given to families? So let me back up a second. So if I'm thinking about a student that needs remedial work, how does the family, besides conferences, how are they aware that their child needs remediation, but also that this is a form of what we're doing to support that child? Is there an invitation given? Is it, here's what Lincoln Learners is, and the parents kind of fill in the gaps themselves? How does that invitation work?
No, unfortunately, I can't answer how it looks at Lincoln. I can answer how it looks at Lakeside. Would you like that answer?
Sure.
So at Lakeside, what the teachers do in their PLCs is they are working on their SMART goal, and with their SMART goal, they're deciding what goal they're working on, right? And then what the students need to work on for remediation and who meets that category. And then I write up a document for it, send it out to the teachers, they share it with the families, and then send the invitation out through a Google Doc. And then the parents sign up for it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Brightcog? If not, Mr. Boss.
Good evening. I wanted to spend most of my time in the school improvement just talking about our PBIS program. And this is something that I've talked about quite a bit this school year. And PBIS has been something that has been a part of the junior senior high school since I came to GSL. Unfortunately with COVID, it had kind of taken a back seat when we were distance learning. Last year we got back on our feet a little bit, and this year we're really making a bigger push. So we've sent some emails out to the community talking about what PBIS is. We have asked for some donations from the community and from community schools lunches. Chris allowed me to come in and speak at that. So I want to thank those families and individuals that had donated to it. But just another brief overview for you as a board is what is PBIS? It's a positive behavioral intervention and support program, which we've kind of conjoined with our Oveus anti-bullying program here at the high school. We do have a lesson each month, and I've listed just some of the sample lessons of what it may look like here. And we do that during our RAP class in grades 7 through 12. Some of those lessons we can complete in one RAP class. Some of those lessons take place over multiple RAP classes where we continue to come back and build those same strategies that we've been talking about. One of the events that we did as an Oveus committee and PBIS committee was a Unity Day event. Unity Day was on October 19th. And what we had done the Monday prior was we had all of our students in the 7 through 12 write down on a orange foot a step they would take to eliminate bullying, something they could do. And it could be something simple, it could be something global, whatever they wanted to say or get out that they thought would help eliminate some of the issues that they see, locally, in the state and worldwide too, when it comes to singling out individuals. And then we posted them in the cafeteria. So if you've walked through the cafeteria recently, you've seen about 700 orange feet walking around the wall, which I'd like to thank my kids a lot for helping me put those up, and our counselor, Brittany Schmidt. It took a long time, but it was really good. And to see the kids at lunch stop and read them, October 19th was about a month ago now. And even today, as I was at lunch duty, seeing kids as they're getting ready to leave the lunchroom and just stop and read 3 or 4 of them as they're going is kind of refreshing to see students taking time to read that. The other thing that we do with our PBIS program is we do award pride tickets to students who are displaying positive behaviors and doing what's expected for them here at school. Students can keep these. Students can turn them in for a weekly drawing or a trimester drawing or a yearly drawing. The weekly drawing has quickly become something that I think kids look forward to, mostly because they get a pop of candy, but it's also accompanied by a really good dad joke by me. I don't think they like that, but they'll probably remember it. And then lastly, what we've kind of brought back was our Panther Pride Student Spotlight Award winners. And we do it differently at the junior high than we do at the senior high. Junior high students are recognized during their win time, and senior high, those award recipients are recognized at a breakfast, a late breakfast in the morning, the first Wednesday of each month. Some of the acknowledgments that I want to talk about, and I labeled it wrong, so I apologize, and I'll get to school committee partnerships at the end. But some of the acknowledgments I want to talk about here is our Unified Bowling. We again went to a Unified Bowling event on November 3rd, which was presented by Special Olympics. Our Unified Fayette course went to this. And big thanks to Mike Hardy and his group all for putting this together, but also big thanks to our Unified Fayette students and Unified Fayette co-teacher, Rob DeCourcy. Mike Hardy and Rob came to me last year with this idea of doing a Unified Fayette course, where we had some of our general education students partnered with our special education students for a Fayette class that would be for Fayette credit. And they wanted to keep it fairly small to begin try one this year, so we kept their number to about 20 total students. And it has been a huge success, to the point where the students have come in talking to me and to Brittany Schmidt about keeping this for try 2 and try 3. And this is something that we have gone back and we've built into the schedule, and we'll be offering our Unified Flag course for the remainder of the year, which has been great to see. Anytime we start something new, there's always some anxieties of if it's going to work or if it's not, and this has been a huge success. And the Unified Bowling event we went to the Special Olympics was just an example of kind of the partnerships that these kids have created and the interactions and the relationships they've built over this first trimester have been fun to watch. As Joy and Chris had said, I want to thank the individuals for helping us put on our Veterans Day program. Paul Lemke plans at my level, and our speakers were our very own Jeff Jensen and a former graduate at the phone who were at that event. Again, the musical, our students worked really, really hard. Awesome event. I didn't get to see one last week, but I did go to dress rehearsals and watched unbelievable talent that we have here with our students. And then lastly, what I want to talk about, and I apologize I didn't have it typed here, but I do want to just briefly mention, as this will be something you guys will hear more and more in the coming months as a board. I've been working with Mr. Sanju and Brittany Schmidt as well on something called Youth Skills Training through our Department of Labor and Industry. And basically what that means is, it was brought to our attention by Seneca Foods. We can apply for this Youth Skills Training through the Department of Labor and Industry, and it allows students who are 16 years of age to work in industry. So right now, Seneca can employ individuals under the age of 18, just due to guidelines they need to follow. However, if we apply through the state of Minnesota and we provide them with some of our courses that we offer here to our students through the ag and industrial tech programs, we can then have some of our work-release students who are under 18 go work in industry. And Mr. Sanju, I, and Ms. Schmidt have toured Seneca Foods. We've talked kind of about what their needs are, what they're looking for specifically, and we're working on getting some welders and mechanics to go over there as an apprenticeship. And surely what they're looking for is kids that want to make this into a career. And they'll provide them the training, they'll kind of provide them the mentorship, and this is going to be a great opportunity for some of our students here, I believe. We're in the very early stages of this, but just wanted to briefly talk to you as a board about this is what we're doing to kind of help bolster our work release program and get some of our younger students into the workforce and industry that may really have a career impact on them. And then the last thing that I want to speak about very briefly, I receive emails all the time, and most of them are vendors trying to sell something. And you just get really good at sifting through this and deleting some of the spam or marking them spam so you never get them. But I did receive an email from South Point Financial, which is based out of Hutch. And I got to talking to the individual about a simulation that they run, which is called Mad City Money Simulation. And what this is it's a financial literacy simulation for students as they get ready for graduation and adulthood. And at first, I was kind of thinking for our business courses or living on your own course, and how it would be impactful for some of our students. I did have, her name is Megan Clark, come in and meet with me 2 weeks ago, and just kind of look at our space, kind of hear what our class sizes are, and really what I'm looking at right now is having each one of our seniors go through this. And it talks about unexpected expenses as an adult, and kind of teaches them, how do you budget, what is a budget, what does this look like, and it's a 2 to 2.5 hour simulation that they can take about 60 kids at a time. So we're looking at a day right now where they can come in and basically work with our entire senior class over the course of the day. It does meet the standards under economics and financial literacy, so I've spoken to our social studies department about that. And we're hoping that sometime in December we can run our students through this simulation and kind of hopefully better prepare them for the real world and budgeting and what to expect when they graduate. So what questions do you have for me?
My daughter is part of the Unified program, and I just want to say hats off. It's been just a truly amazing experience for my daughter. And to experience those experiences and work with those kids who are not so fortunate as she is, has been an eye-opening experience for them. And my hat's off to the whole program. I know Mike has really worked hard on it, and I know, but I mean, last year they went to snow tubing, and they did bowling, and she's actually part of the, I don't know if they've got a new executive committee or whatever, but it's just been a phenomenal experience. So hats off to them.
It has been awesome to watch, and it's, if you get a chance, and I believe they're going to go tubing again this year, I will send that out to the board. It's worth the time to come in and see the amazing things that they're all doing in that class.
Matt, a quick question about the PBIS and the anti-bullying curriculum. With regard to the school resource officer, is she presenting any of the anti-bullying curriculum or the OAS in any of the classrooms, or is this curriculum that's being taught by GSL staff?
She hasn't yet. I know that she's gone into elementary classes and just spoken to them, well, kind of who she is and what she does and kind of her role. I think moving forward, she'll probably take more of an active part in what that is, but currently she hasn't. She's around it once, she reinforces the things that were learned and taught, but they are taught by our staff here at GSL.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that, you know, she's new to our staff or new to the position here at GSL, and just as that position evolves, just kind of wondering how that would fit with the proactive piece, like you mentioned, in the elementary with a, you know, counteract, Project Northland at the intermediate level, you know, something at the high school level as far as the being proactive, being the, you know, positive relationship building and things like that, as the, you know, position evolves and stuff. And if she gets footed and comfortable, just kind of wondering where it's going.
It'll be interesting to see. You know, I'm fortunate at my level that her office is just down the hall from the main high school office, and her door is always open, you know, unless she's speaking with a kid privately about something that's going on. But the amount of kids that stop into her office just to visit and to talk with her and to get to know her is pretty remarkable. And it is not the students that you would necessarily think would want to be visiting with a police officer sometimes. So right now, I think the role that she's taking is just reinforcing the things that they're learning. But I could definitely see her taking an active role of saying, hey, here's a program I'm interested in, here's a program I'm invested in. Could I take this and go to our RAP students and present on it? And it'll be interesting to see where she goes with that.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Principal Foss. Superintendent's report.
Thank you and good evening. I'll jump in just to keep going a little bit with the Unified Phi Ed class, and then also tell the board on January 12th and 13th is the MSBA conference. Hopefully you guys will be able to chance to get it for a couple of reasons. Number one, Adolph Brown will be speaking there, and Adolph Brown was one of the speakers, or was the speaker that we had for our staff at the beginning of the school year, which was very powerful and did a great job. I think you guys, it will certainly be worth hearing if you get an opportunity to go to that conference. But then we also signed up our Unified Phi Ed class as a show and tell, and so they will be presenting at the MSBA conference as well, where they're going to have, you know, that move backward all the kids have, and that final roll of the vendors, and so they're going to be there for that day, presenting and talking a little bit about the class. So it'll be really neat to see our students there. A couple other things, most of my stuff is on the agenda. Our annual food drive started today. That'll go all the way till November 23rd. We basically ask all of our staff and all of our students to bring in one food item, one item per individual. And if we can do that, we certainly can make a difference. And so we've got that all lined up to be delivered on the 23rd. Speaking of the 23rd, it's a reminder that that's a half day that we have for our students, so we'll be ending at noon, and our staff then will have the rest of that time to prepare and to do it's the end of the try for marking period, and then to get ready for try 2. I would like to say congratulations to John, Alicia, and Jason. We'll be canvassing the official results here in a little bit on your election, so congratulations to that. And then community schools will be happening on the Thursday of this week. And then finally, you guys had a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup because of the rules that were set by Mr. Sanju. You let the kids know that if they had any Reese's Peanut Butter Cups during Halloween, that they were not to eat them, they would have to bring them to me. And our kids are so sweet, especially our youngest learners. I was bombarded with Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, let me tell you. So gave you guys each a little sample, so I want to say thank you to all the families for having a little fun with that.
Thank you. Moving on to community reports. Do we have any community reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? A motion by Alicia, do I have a second? Second by John. To approve the consent agenda, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business, there is none at this time. New business, item A. Approval of Education Minnesota GSL seniority list, action item enclosure number 2. Enclosed is the Education Minnesota GSL seniority list following the required posting for 20 days, receipt and verification of changes, if any, and subsequent changes in the seniority list, if any. The administration recommends adoption of the enclosed Education Minnesota GSL seniority list for the 22-23 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Jamie, do I have a second? Second by Clark. Comments or questions? Self-explanatory. To adopt the Education Minnesota GSL seniority list for 22-23 school year. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item B, approval of the SEIU Local 284 seniority list. Action item including number 3. Enclosed is the seniority list for employees for Local 284. Following the required posting for 20 days, receipt and verification of changes, if any, and subsequent changes in the seniority list, if any. The administration recommends adoption of the Local 284 seniority list for the 22-23 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Jamie, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alicia. To adopt the SEIU Local 284 seniority list for the 22-23 school year. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item C, approve the audit. Action item. Mary Reedy, our auditor from Clifton Larson Allen LLP, provided an overview of the audit summary and financial statement for the school district for the 21-22 school year at the October 12th board meeting. Superintendent of Schools recommends the board accept the audit summary and financial statements for the 21-22 school year as prepared by Clifton Larson Allen LLP. Is that a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Clark, second by you, Jamie?
No,
Donna, thank you. To accept the audit summary and financial statements for the 21-22 school year as prepared by Clifton Larson Allen LLP. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item D, annual resolution for combined polling places. Due to the change of Minnesota Statute 205.8.11, subdivision 2, effective July 1, 2017, this resolution must be completed by December 31st of each year. Action item closure number 4. Resolution establishing combined polling places for multiple precincts and designating hours during which the polling places will remain open for voting for school district elections not held on the day of a statewide election. The combined polling place would take place in the Glencoe City Center from the hours of 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alicia, do I have a second? I'll second that. To designate the Glencoe City Center as a combined polling place and setting the voting hours between the hours of 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Just to know, we don't have an election coming up for any Dawson County one, but just a statute that we have to do. All right, Donald, we'll need a roll call vote on this. Will you please take that?
please indicate for or against. Jamie? For. Kevin? Oh, put that in there. Jason?
For.
John?
Or
Alicia?
For.
Donna? 4. And we'll do clerk.
4.
All right.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item E, trip abroad, 2024. For 2024, this is an action item. Wanda Collins, English teacher, requests approval for an 11-day trip to Japan in June of 2024. The trip would include visits to the cities of Tokyo, Hakone, Nara, Kyoto, Osaka, and Hiroshima. This would be the first time our school has been taking students to the Asian country. The tour would be through EF Tours, the same company that has done our travel, that we traveled with in the past. Students will be upperclassmen in the 23-24 school year. This year's 10th graders and 11th graders would be eligible and would have the option of earning half credit elective in social studies. Do we have a motion?
so.
Motion by John, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Donna. To approve the request for Wanda Collins to go to Japan on an 11-day trip abroad in June 2024. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here, just in case we had any questions.
All right. Item F, approved teacher overloads, action item. High school principal Foss requests approval of overloads for trimester 2 during the 22-23 school year. Ashley Brown for Spanish, Sudie Keckle for ESL, Chris Vick for English, Wanda Collins for English, and Pat Hiltner for English. Do you have any motion?
So moved.
Motion by Clark, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by John. To approve trimester 2 overloads. Any comments or questions on this?
Remember, this is from earlier, we talked about this in the beginning of the school year, but we go through the approvals of overloads one try at a time. Due to the reductions that we had, we didn't have an English teacher apply this year, so that's why the overloads are happening. And then also with the EL and the Spanish, in order to get all that in, these 2 teachers, instead of having the additional teacher that we had last year, the 2 teachers that are doing this, they are an overload to help them.
Thank you. We have a motion by Clark, second by John to approve trimester 2 overloads. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item G, substitute teacher pay. Action item. Superintendent Sanju recommends increasing the substitute teacher pay by $10 a day for a total of $140 per day effective November 15, 2022. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Motion by Donna. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alicia. To increase pay for substitute teachers from $130 to $140 per day effective November 15, 2022. Any discussion or questions?
We did this last year. We raised it and got caught up with the sign of the times. We don't have very many substitutes. We want to keep the ones that we have. It's been a real challenge once again this year with the amount of absences that we do have. And so being able to, say thank you a little bit to some of our substitutes is a small gesture. I don't think it's going to be a real big impact on our budget because, like I said before, we don't have a ton of these. My last superintendent meeting that we had, most school districts were looking at doing something very similar to this, and so I appreciate the support on this.
All right, I have a motion by Donna, second by Alicia. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item H, increase the speech language pathologist hours. Action item. Superintendent Sanju recommends increasing Stacy Scribner, speech language pathologist, from a 0.8 FTE to a 1.0 FTE. Starting in trimester 2, the increase is due to the number of students needing speech services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by John, do I have a second?
I'll second.
second by Clark. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll just brief you on this one. This came, our cooperative helped with our numbers, looked at our numbers, and she just doesn't have enough time to get everything done. And so she was at a .8, so basically 4 days a week. She's willing to do 5 days a week, and that will help get kids in that she needs to see. And so it worked. It obviously is an increase, but that increase is due to the needs of our students.
This continues then, it starts second trimester, continues through third trimester, and then what?
I would like to have it continue forever until we tell you differently. I'm guaranteed it's not going to go down.
So with this motion, with this second, is it just for this school year, this starting at the second trimester and the third trimester, and then revisited?
If that's what you'd like to do, I'm going to tell you that it will be a 1.0 next fall.
And we'll budget for that.
Yeah. Okay. The numbers aren't going down according to our cooperative with our speech stuff. But if you want us to revisit it, we would anyhow, right? I mean, we're going to revisit that every year just as part of our process. So if that's what we want to do, and then just go, but this would be an agenda item. If we don't make it a permanent change, it will be an agenda item later on.
I'm just wondering, I don't know that we've ever added a full-time position in the middle of a year to then continue on.
Right, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, I know what the numbers look like.
Right.
That's
No,
all.
well, I understand that it's gonna perhaps continue and perhaps come back to us, but it wouldn't come back to us if we, in this motion and in the second, move it forward into the future. You know what I'm saying? So procedurally and process-wise, I guess is where I'm coming from. I understand that the needs are not going anywhere.
I guess this motion says she'll be a 1.0 teacher, and she'll be a 1.0 teacher moving forward.
So just to clarify, she's employed by the district, not by her
Correct.
own?
She's the school district employee. She's been on a 0.8 for the last several years. The needs have increased, and so instead of a 4-day a week, she's a 5-day a week. We're moving her to a full-time position, and I get what you're saying. I'm okay with doing anything, whatever you guys want. I'm just saying that this won't get reduced. And if it does get reduced, we can come back to say, hey, you know what, we're taking a 0.2 off of a speech teacher, but it's just not going to happen.
Are we utilizing any speech pathologists for the co-op, right? We got rid of that because we hired our own.
Hired our own, yep.
So I think what you're saying, Jamie, if we can just make this last, we don't have to do it again, right?
I'm not saying that that's what we should do. I guess what I'm saying is that I see a start of trimester number 2, but I don't see a conclusion of when this would stop. And I guess when we're looking at positions during the school year, when we're approving something, once the school year is already started, I guess I'd like to see at the end of that school year it conclude and be revisited or brought back to us.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm fine with that also. I don't think we have to reword anything here, do we?
No, we'll bring it back. Let's bring it back. Yeah.
Unless we put on the end of it,
Through the end.
through the end of the
Through the end of the school year.
Yeah, through the end of the school year.
John, would you like to?
I'll just amend
Okay.
it to say exactly that, just due to starting trimester 2 to the end of the school.
Okay,
Okay, so we can-
Thank you.
I'm in agreement on the second.
Okay, so we have a motion by John, second by Clark to increase Stacy's Scrivener's from a 0.8 to a 1.0 for the remainder of the 22-23 school year.
Perfect.
Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Both same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Minnesota State High School League Foundation Resolution, action Action item inclusion number 5. Activities Director Schwartz plans to apply to the Minnesota State High School League Foundation for reimbursement for activity fees from students who qualify for free and reduced lunches. Money from the Minnesota State High School League is available to offset the reduced fees received from qualified students. Superintendent Sandri recommends adopting the resolution to support of the grant application to the Minnesota State High School League. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alicia, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jamie. To adopt the resolution supporting the district application to the Minnesota State High School League Foundation for reimbursement for activities fee. A roll call vote will be taken.
Please indicate for or against. Jamie? For. Clark?
For.
John?
For.
Jason?
For.
Alicia? For. And Donna for.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Item J, updated fundraiser request for 22-23. Action item closure number 6. An updated fundraiser request to be held during the 22-23 school year are attached. Superintendent Sandri recommends approval of the updated request as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alicia. Have a second?
Second.
Second by John. To approve the updated request for fundraisers to be held during the 22-23 school year as presented. Any questions or comments?
I can just comment for you, normally as a board you approve the fundraisers in June and then in January. In this case, we had BPA advisors that were hired way into August, right when school started. They didn't have a chance to put together any fundraising opportunities, so they have been working on that now. So those are the requests that we've added to the list so that you're aware of them. And we'll still bring you a new list in January again.
Okay. So we'll do it again.
We'll do it again.
Thank you. We have a motion by Alicia, second by John, to approve the updated request for fundraisers to be held during the 22-23 school year as presented. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item K, first reading of policies, action item. This is a recommendation of the policy committee to bring back the following policies for adoption at the next school board meeting. 208, development, adoption, and implementation of policies. 209, code of ethics. 301, school district administration. 302, superintendent. 303, superintendent selection. 420, students and employees with sexually transmitted infections and diseases and certain other communicable disease and infections conditions. 502, service of student lockers, desks, personal possessions, and student persons. 610, field trips. 612.1, development of parent and family engagement policies for Title I programs. 615, testing accommodations, modifications, and exemptions for IEPs, Section 504 plans, and EL students. 722, public data and data subject requests. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Clark, do I have a second? I make that second. To bring back policies listed above for the adoption at the next school board meeting. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item L, resolution to accept donations. Action item is the recommendation of Superintendent Sandri to adopt the resolution to accept donations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alicia. Do I have a second?
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, down. To accept donations, we have a nice long list this time, a lot of FFA and a lot of things going on. So, thank you very much, everybody. So a motion by Alicia, second by John to accept donations. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item M. Now this is the addendum to the board agenda. This is the resolution canvassing returns of the votes of school district general election, action item closure number 1. The abstract and return of votes cast has been received from the county. 3 candidates who received the highest number of votes were Jason Lindeman, Jonathan Lefke, and Lisa Luthard. elected for 4-year terms beginning the first Monday in January 2023. A roll call vote will be taken.
Please indicate for or against. Jamie, for.
Actually, we need a motion, yeah. Excuse me. Do I have a motion? Motion by John, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Clark. To adopt the resolution canvassing return to the votes for the school district general election. Now we'll take a roll call vote. Thank you, Don.
Please indicate for or against. Jamie, for. Clark, for. Jason,
For.
John,
Four.
Alicia, for. And Donna, for.
Thank you, John. Motion carries. Item N, resolution authorizing issuance of certifications of election and directing school district clerk to perform other election-related duties. Action item inclusion number 2. The resolution authorizing the board treasurer and board clerk execute certifications of election on behalf of the board to newly elected school board members. Do I have a motion? Motion by Alicia, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Clark. To approve the resolution authorizing insurance issuance of certificates of election and directing school district clerk to perform other election-related duties. Roll call vote will be taken.
Please indicate for or against. Jamie,
Four.
Clark,
Four.
Jason,
For.
John,
Four.
Alicia, for. And Donna, for.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item O, miscellaneous. None at this time. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by John, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Clark. To adjourn at 6:55 p.m. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.